Hello and welcome to Jamie's Motion Graphics. Today we're doing a tutorial on how to create, move and rotate an object in After Effects. Of course there's a lot more to learn, but at least you'll get a nice basic feeling of how things are done here. Enjoy! Okay, here we are in After Effects. Today we are going to learn how to create, move and rotate something. So we are going to start off with a new composition. This is going to be a very basic tutorial. So composition, a new composition, and that makes a new composition in the bottom here. You can set all your variables here. I'm going to make it 30 seconds long. And yeah, it's 1280 by 720, 30 frames per second. You can set these values to what you want. This is a pretty good setup. The 30 seconds depends, of course, on how long you want to make your thing. So now we have a black field. It says here composition comp 1. That's what it's called. If you want to rename it, you can go to your project. That's in the top left here. And just right-click this, hit rename, and say this is main, I don't know. So you can rename it for whatever is on here. We're not going to discuss multiple compositions today. We are going to discuss how to make new stuff on this. As you can see, everything is grayed out at the moment. That is because I haven't selected my composition. So select it by just left clicking there. Go to layer, new, and then you can choose here whichever layer you want. We are going to go with a solid today because I like solids. So the solid is going to be 1280 by 720, which is the size of our composition. So you can, of course, make a composition size here with this button. It will automatically do that. But if you alter it, then this is the button to do that. You want to always have square pixels unless you have some very weird setup going. And here you can select the color. So it's a, normal color selector. I'm going to make it purple today. Purple being my favorite color. So yeah, there's that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new object here. I'm going to show you three types of objects. First of all, we're going to create a rectangle, which is just over here. You can have any one of these selected in, in here. I'm going to show you the rectangle, which is basically just drag and drop. So you select it here, then you left click, you drag and you let go. And then as you can see in our solid, now we have a mask because we did have our solid selected. We can of course do any of these. So if we want to do an ellipse, we can do the ellipse at the exact same method. It will create a new mask. I will also show you the star, whatever. It doesn't really matter. All of these work in the same way. That's not the three I wanted to show you, but anyway, this is the one. So if you're like very precise like I am, then you go to mask here. So masks. If you don't have this selected, either go to this little triangle here or just select the layer, hit M for mask, and then it will open up. And you can go to mask path, shape, and here you can actually type in pixel for pixel what you want. So for example, for 200 by 200 rectangle, this would have to be 540, 260, 740, 460, assuming that you want it to be in the middle of your composition. You don't have to have it in the middle of your composition. I just like it that way. Anyhow, this is the first way to create something. So just select whatever you want from here. Just drag your shape out. And then you can afterwards type it in, which is all good. The second one is the pen tool. And the pen tool, this is the pen tool. The other ones, these two are automatic, and this one I will not discuss today, but it's not the pen tool. So yeah, just select the pen tool. The pen tool allows you to do, separate shapes. So if I want to make a shape like this, then I can. And you can, as I said, use this because it's automatic. It will add more vertices to it. If you want to change it, just hit the selection tool and just select one of the vertices and just drag it away or wherever you want it. So you can do this with every one of them, of course. So, new object. Excellent. Then, we can also, this is a very well, angular object. We can also make round objects by just holding the mouse button and dragging it around, and then you get these handles. And if you don't know how to work with handles, yeah, there's a tutorial on this channel somewhere. I don't know what it's called, so yeah, there's that. But I will make a new one just in case you can't find it, and I'll link it here in the description. If I forget, then please remind me in the comments. Anyway, you can make this. You can also, of course, make the sharp points in these. So you can make sharp points in these setups, and yeah, you can make objects that way. But that's not what I wanted to show you. Anyway. The third way to make an object is by not selecting your layer and then going for the same object button, but as you can see, nothing is selected. So here we have no layer selected because I clicked underneath it. And then if I make one, it will create a shape layer automatically with the shape in it, and it will be in contents and blah blah blah, but I'm not going to discuss that because this is not the way I want to make shapes. It's not, so I'm not going to explain this. I just wanted to show you that you could make it like that. Okay, let's delete mask number 2, which is this mask. Well, actually no, let's delete mask number 1. I don't like that. Just get out of here. So mask number 2 is going to be our object of today, and we're going to show you how to rotate it, how to, well, do things with it. First of all, we're going to position it somewhere in the middle of our screen. And we do that not by just picking it up and dragging it, which you can do, by the way, but we're going to do that by going to mask path, and yeah, I'll show you. Once you select this, it will select all the points. Then you go to one of the points and you drag that point to the middle. If you do this wrong, well, let's just show you what it does. If I move the position of this layer, it will look the same. But if I now move or rotate this, or let's say move one of these arrows, these vertices, sorry, you can see it goes outside of the layer. Because the layer now starts where this line is, and it will run to here. So don't do it like that. Do it like I just showed you. Just select all the vertices, so go to masks, which is in this little thingy. You can also hit M for the easy way. But yeah, you can click through it all. Just hit the mask path, well, name, I guess, and then just pick up one of the points and you can drag it around. And as you can see, it will not change the thing, and I'll show you, even though it's now in the middle. Oh, let's deselect everything, only select this one. And you can see it will end at the edges. There's no end of the layer here, so the color is everywhere basically. Anyhow, we now want to move it and we want to rotate it. We're going to do move first. So moving is simple. I just showed you. You just hit the mask path and you just move it around. It's very simple. But what if we want to move it over time? So what we're animating here, what we're moving actually, are these points of the mask. So what we need to do is click on the stopwatch, make sure you're at the right time. So let's say you want to be at 1 second. When it starts, just drag it to 1 second, and this top button, just zoom in the time, so that you have kind of an easier way of selecting the correct time. So you want to hit this stopwatch, and that makes this freeze in time. So at time is 1, it will be right here. Then if we go to times 2, and we want to move this around, we just select the mask path. All of the points will be selected, and we just move it over there, let's say. So now it will make the move from this moment. So before this moment, nothing happens. From this moment to the next, so to 1 second later, it will move right there. It's as easy as that. You just make these points, and it will just do what you want. So let's make a third one. Select the mask path and just drag it to your new location. So yeah, there you go. Now it moves that. So that's the first way you can do it. Let's delete all these. So clicking on the stopwatch again will delete everything that you just did. Let's see if we can make that even better, because even though that worked, it's not the ideal solution. What we want is we want position. So position is the layer itself. So it's the thing behind our mask, so the entire square basically. And if we move the position to something else, so we can do the same thing, click the stopwatch. Oh, I want to set it on 1 first. So let's go to 1. And we're going to hit the stopwatch. That means that at time is 1, this thing is going to be here. At times 2, we want this to be somewhere else. So you don't need to do anything, just move it around and it will do the rest on its own. So as you can see, it now creates a line between them, and that's the difference between the two. So if you move the mask path, it does exactly the same thing as moving the position. The advantage of position though is that you can actually change this. You can see where it moves, but you can also change how it moves. So I can use these handles that are on here. And yeah, they're very hard to spot, but assuming you can actually click on them, which is not very easy every now and then, you can change the path, and that can be very useful. So now it will move, well, now it will move like this, and we will see that if we go here, and now you can see it makes a different movement, even though it still ends at the same position, because this position is set. So the position at time is 2 has been set by us. It's just the intermediate points that we can actually change by these handles. And of course, if we want to go to time is 3 and move around here, then yeah, we get this as well. So we get something to move with here as well. And I think if I hold, yeah, okay. If you hold Alt, then you can actually drag this without disturbing the first part. But yeah, whatever, we'll see that later. Anyhow, just not in this video, by the way, it's just in a later tutorial. Just see how it moves around, and if you agree with it, then that's fine. So yeah, easy enough, I would say. You just make points in time where you say, okay, at this point it has to be here, at this point it has to be here, at this point it has to be here, and then you can use the handles on your position, well, whatever this is, curve I guess, to change how it moves to that position or between those two positions. It's fairly easy to do, but we are going to delete all of that, and we are going to go back to kind of a mid position here. And of course, now that I don't have the stopwatch on, it just moves to the position. It doesn't care what I do. It doesn't make one of these lines with the dots. Anyhow, rotation then. Rotation works in exactly the same way. So we can actually do the rotation here by just going to this and then just rotating it around. Make sure that if you use this thing that I'm teaching you, that this point doesn't go off the screen, because it would look terrible otherwise. I will demonstrate that later. But yeah, rotation, let's set it to 0 for now. There are 2 numbers here. First of all, there's this first number that well, this one. That's the amount of rotations, full rotations. So even if I set that to 0 to 1, so currently is at 0, if I set it to 1, it will still be the same object. It will look exactly the same. It's just to remind you that you did rotate like a number of times completely. And these are the degrees. So they're actually degrees, they're not radians or anything like that. Simple degrees. Anyway, click the stopwatch. At time is 1, just to make sure that, well, it is set there. Then we go to times 2, and let's say we want to rotate 180 degrees. We can, of course, drag it like this, and then we can actually get there, I'm assuming. You can also just click and just type in 180, hit enter, and you're done. So now it will rotate from one point to the next exactly the way it should. So if you want to change this, you don't have that nice little line that you had with the position, but you can change how it reaches it. I will not discuss that here. although I can say that, for example, if we go here, and now currently it's 48 degrees. If we make this into, let's say, 90 degrees, then we will see that it rotates very quickly in the beginning, there, very quickly, and then it stops rotating quickly and goes on to be very slow. That's kind of the only thing I want to say about it here. We will see more in future tutorials. So yeah, you can set multiple points, not just one every second, but yeah. So you can also say I want to do 2 full rotations between this point, and that will just mean that it goes very quickly. It's fairly easy to understand, I'm assuming. And now, if we play it, so yeah, this is going to be a little bit laggy because my computer is not the best. But yeah, you can see what it looks like. Let's do it without the selected thing. So yeah, you can see everything that we just made. Well, just the rotation, I guess. I think this is fairly easy to understand. Just make points in time where you create different, well, whatever, positions, rotations, scales even. Scale works exactly the same. And just make sure that you, well, use it like that. Anyway, if I wanted to show you this. If I use the position to go like here, then we can actually get this. So once again, we have that issue where the layer just ends because I, well, have a position that is not the correct position. And that is why in this layer settings, so when you made the new layer or new solid, you got the question of how big do you want this. So let's say, yeah, normally I would make this comp size, but let's say I make this 1500. Yeah, so instead of 720, I make this way bigger. Then all of a sudden, well, the shape is connected to the layer, but you can see that even underneath here, it is still, well, painted in, which is excellent because that's exactly the way we normally would want it. And we can, of course, adjust this to actually be on screen. But now we don't get that issue where things just fall off the screen. Because, well, oh, here there's still a little bit of an issue because, yeah, well, you can see here that the layer actually ends. And that means that, well, you can't get color there, but you can, of course, do the same thing that I just did. Go to your layer, solid settings, and just change it to, I don't know, 2000, something like that. It will, of course, alter our mask, but that doesn't really matter for us. And you can see that now everywhere there is color. Excellent! Anyhow, that's all I wanted to say. I always make these things too long. I want to explain everything in one tutorial, and I shouldn't do that. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below, and I will get back to you. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.